Let's go full circle back to Toronto with Mr. Martin Popoff. He, over at his channel, The Contrarians, made a video called The Finest 10 Original Punk Rock Albums.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see if you guys see eyeball to eyeball on top 10 punk rock albums.
Let's see if
But,
we see
but it's
eyeball
like classical punk rock, not post-punk or the...
Yeah, just classic punk. For sure. And I mean, I know I just said the meaning of punk is fighting oppression and liberation, but sometimes it's being a little cunty and gatekeepy. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? It's about a balance in life.
Martin Popoff from the Contrarians here. I've been enjoying doing these kind of like essential album
I love
type
this guy.
things. So,
Yeah,
so I wanted to do something like if you wanted to be an original punk, go back to 1976, 1977, 1978, and say, what are the 10 albums you need to own
Okay, so
from
we're
the
talking
original
about
punk
3 years.
situation? No record snob stuff here. This is literally my list. You can say there's some rarities here. Maybe there aren't. Pretty much there aren't, I would say.
Oh,
okay. But yeah, it's
He's not gonna give us
no sort of
anything-
record snob stuff like we have to put in rarities to this sort of thing.
love
This
all the
is
caveats.
literally
I like-
the 10 original era ground zero punk albums.
Okay, he's trying to
that
say
I
he's not
think
gonna give us-
every
He's not going to give us the deep cuts. He's gonna list the standards.
Yeah, the classics. The stuff that made the whole thing fly like an eagle, if you will.
Okay. You know what I feel like he's doing? I feel like he's preparing me to be disappointed.
Why? You guys might agree.
I think we are, but he's like already
Might be
trying.
50-50, who
It's not.
knows?
It's not that he's preparing me to be disappointed. He's setting my expectations. He's saying this is not a 5-star restaurant. I'm not gonna give you a Michelin star meal. This is a burger joint. Okay, I'm gonna give you a burger and I'm gonna give you French fries.
The top 10 best burger joints in Toronto?
Yeah, so he's gonna give me the burger joints, and then he's letting me know so I don't Karen him, like punk rock Karen him, and go, I wanted a chicken sandwich. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Only burgers.
He's got 10 albums, and let's take it one at a time.
original punker has to have in
Punker,
his
do you
or
like
her
that?
collection.
Punker?
So
He's old enough that
we're
I'll
gonna
allow
do
it.
this in reverse order as usual. Let's start off with number 10. The Dead Boys, Young, Loud, and Snotty, the 1977 Dead Boys album.
I told you. Didn't I say?
You said we're probably gonna agree.
Well, I said that you don't need to get in your own way and get disappointed that you might have some things in common.
Famously, I think the only
It's one of my favorite
the
albums.
original heavy punk album from all of America, essentially. Loved it to death. Super
Perfect.
heavy, rough production, Stiv Bators with very punky vocals. I often say about this album, like if you wanted to draw up the almost parody of a punk album, so that's a little bit of to the negative, and that's why it's kind of down the list a little bit. It's definitely that. I mean, they look absolutely like punks. The album's called Young, Loud, and Snotty. They're called the Dead Boys. They're posing in an alley or something like that, some sort of urban landscape blight.
Love it.
But it is heavy.
Love
It
this.
is rocking. It's got Sonic Reducer on it, all that kind of good stuff. So
don't
number 10.
even
Number 9,
yeah.
the Ramones' Rocket to Russia.
Okay.
So the third Ramones
Sure.
album, I could kind of gone and
Okay, may I say, is this their best album? I
Yeah.
feel like the first Ramones album has the most amount of bangers, but also there's like a fair amount of filler.
Yeah.
Their second album, Going Home, is like fine.
Rocket to Rush is
Rocket to Rush is kind of the best one.
it's kind of what it's one of those things where I'm like,
Or Roads to Ruin. Roads to Ruin has bangers too.
it is. They all have. I think all Ramones albums have bangers, right? But I think this is like the overall like the democratic decision, right? Like it doesn't have every song you want on it, but I mean it's got like it's got Judy's a Punk, it's got Blitzkrieg, it's got 53rd and 3rd.
No. Blitzkrieg and 53rd and 3rd are on the debut. And Judy is a Punk.
But don't they make it to that album? No.
No. Rocket to Russia has, and it is the most highly rated Ramones album on Rate Your Music.
Rockaway Beach, huh?
It's got Crete and Hop.
Okay.
Which is a worse Blitzkrieg bop. Rockaway Beach, yeah, Sheena's a Punk Rocker's great.
Yeah, it says she does a punk rocker instead of Judy is a punk.
Okay, I know I'm going to be a little contrarian, but I would choose Road to Ruin out of these four.
What's Road to Ruin?
That's my final submission to America. Road to Ruin has I Just Wanna Have Something to Do. We got I wanna be sedated. We got Questioningly is a weird song. It's got more variety to it.
No thanks.
It's less punk, but the production's really good. I like it.
But it's not. It's
anything
not
here-
controversial. I feel like.
No, this is a
Ramones
non-controversial
aren't my favorite
choice.
of the original punk bands.
Yeah. See,
But
I
you know,
agree.
it's widely credited. People do say that the third album is maybe the best one where they really got it right. The production got better and all that, blah blah blah. So I'm going with that. You know, there's certain travesties that are committed when you get to Road to Ruin. There's a little bit of acoustic guitars put in.
I like
You know,
that
my
stuff.
favorite Ramones album is Pleasant Dreams, but this list will not include anything that I think is a little bit new wave or a little bit too post-punk. So this has to be literally pure punk, original punk, ground zero punk. And for that matter, no Stooges, MC5, no Dictators, just a little bit too off. No New York Dolls. This is
fair.
literally
I like it.
when punk sort of started, which is, the first albums is Ramones.
Because he could have done MC5 or Stooges. More MC5. Stooges.
Stooges are Stooges are more punk than MC5. MC5 is way more proto.
76.
Kick
and
Out
then
the
we're into
Jams is like a very
Yeah.
like I would say like if you were drawing like connecting the dots, it's like MC5 Stooges like punk, right?
Yeah.
The Stooges are riding the roller coaster into the dock that is punk.
Right.
77 kind of thing, right? Number 8, I'm going with the Boomtown Rats. The Boomtown Rats, the debut, their only heavy punk.
What says you about the Boomtown Rats?
Take that shit off my list.
Do you remember how I
Take
did
that shit off my
on
list.
this show? I did a Bob Geldof impression to our guests.
Yeah.
Sam E. And why aren't you saying
I don't know which guests you're saying.
our two metalmen? We did Thin Lizzy show with them.
Oh, I didn't call them Alexi and Sam.
Okay, so Sammy and Alexi, thank you.
Sammy? I thought it was just Sam.
I thought his Instagram handle goes by Sammy. Sammy for strings, I thought.
Oh.
I don't think I'm making that up.
Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not.
Anyway, the point being, I did a Bob Geldof impression to them. Remember, I was like,
Yeah, I remember
right?
you doing a Bob Geldof. I just didn't remember who you did it to.
Yeah, so this is the band,
Yeah.
Boomtown
Yeah.
Rats, right?
Album.
I'm just saying it's interesting that that's come up twice on the High Epic Times, considering neither of us care about
Or like,
or
The Boomtown
think
Rats.
about Bob Geldof and the Brute. Like,
I don't want it
It's
on my list.
pretty heavy, but not crazy heavy. It's very well behaved, well produced by Mutt Lange.
wow, Mutt Lange, Shania Twain's ex-husband.
Yeah,
No,
I
they're
did
from
catch
Ireland.
the Mutt Lange reference.
Did you
though.
catch that?
Yeah, because you told me about Mutt.
Yeah, he's like South African, and he's got like a big red mane, and he produced, of course, Back in Black by AC/DC, and he did all the Def Leppard stuff, and
Yeah.
It's got a little
some
bit of
sugar on
that,
me,
alliance with the whole Bruce Springsteen, Thin Lizzy, Van Morrison, Graham Parker, Elvis Costello, Southside Johnny sort of feel, right? But
Yeah, do you see how I said Southside Johnny? The voice I'm doing is the Southside Johnny voice. Right? If you think about it, Elvis Costello, it's the same voice. Like all those more new wavy bands, it's very like you sound like a Seal. Remember we were talking about Seal? Do you mean the artist Seal or is it a Seal? I'm like, no, he sounds like a Seal,
Yeah.
right? That's the Johnny. What did he say? The
Southside.
Southside Johnny.
Yeah.
really, it's a good chugging,
hilarious.
heavy, well produced punk album. Number 7, I'm going with the Buzzcocks debut. Another Music in a Different Kitchen. Got this as a new release in the the silver plastic bag. Loved it to death. Such a great sound these guys have. Pete Shelley singing. It's this sort of tight, frantic pop punk sound, but this is a pretty heavy album. And I remember being very disappointed with Love Bites. I feel like they're not even a punk band when you get to Love Bites. But the first album is definitely a punk album, and I think it's great. Sounds good, great production, great riffs.
Yeah.
Next, I'm going number 6, The Damned, Music for Pleasure, the second Damned album, the one kind of everybody likes to put down, produced by Nick Mason. I think it's
Okay, there's so many things happening. I love the art, first of all.
Yeah, that's a very schmoo forward album.
Yeah, that's a schmoocore album cover. Second of all, it's produced by Nick Mason, as in Pink Floyd. Huh?
sounds great. I love the performances on it. I love that it's a little more behaved.
I don't want
than
my
the
punk
debut.
behaved.
Damned. Love the songs. Love kind of the mellower stuff on it, like Idiot Box and yeah, just this whole record. You Take My Money. I just think it's really cool. It's got a great atmosphere about it.
I like that picture.
Yeah, but that's like that's not the Damned. Like that's not the Damned album to pick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let me just look at their Rate Your Music. I predicted you would be 50-50 with Popoff.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going good. To reference the Buzzcocks, we were singles going steady.
God. Look at he gives this album, it's a 3.11. And it's surrounded by other classics. So he's very contrarian on the
That's
Damned.
very contrarian. And we're going to go with Damn, Damn, Damned.
Right.
Because that's
the ground zero
for
punk.
That's the ground zero for punk. What he just mentioned is, because New Rose.
Yeah.
New Rose and Neat. Or, that's.
Okay, so just to confirm here, Nick Mason, the producer of Pink Floyd.
Okay, wow, you're right.
Confirmed.
Yeah, that I don't know what he's talking about there, and that's where he's contrarian, and he can.
Oh, I also mentioned this earlier when I was talking to Michael. Popoff and I both share a contrarian view on King Crimson. Our favorite King Crimson album is Beat, which is King Crimson fans' least favorite album, or one of the least favorite. It's usually in the bottom half, but.
Rat Scabies is drumming up a storm, but they do
Rat Scabies. I love that.
kind of lock things down a little bit. Now, I don't know if that's really the Nick Mason influence or not, but I think it sounds great. Number 7, number 5, I'm going with The Clash. The Clash.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, top 10?
Sure.
Come on.
I don't
even like it.
I personally.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I have never put this album on once for pleasure. Not once.
I personally.
I don't even
like. What's the
like
track listing on it?
But I would still agree that it should be on this list. Even though I biasly don't.
Me personally,
like
I don't want it on, but I get it. Like, I get it. I get why it's there.
Here's my pseudo contrarian take on The Clash. I want the more new wave and futuristic and dubby The Clash are, the more I like it. The more that they're like forward thinking and weird and like influenced by Devo. Like This Is Planet Clash. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Where it's like it almost sounds like Africa Bambaataa. I feel like if they kept going on that track, they really could have done something cool as long as their core personnel stayed intact, because what happened is like half the band quit, or all of the band quit, and it was just Mr. Jones, I think, in charge. Am I right about that? Can't do all the Clash history here.
No.
That's all you got? No?
No.
Joe Strummer. Actually, I was wrong. Joe Strummer tried to release another Clash album without the rest of the band.
Yeah.
Mick Jones left.
Yeah, Joe tried to do his own thing.
Cut the Crap is considered one of the worst albums of all time by The Clash. So, anyway, point being, people like this album a lot.
Yeah, it's not for me. I mean, I like Police and Thieves.
This is a new
my
release.
favorite Clash song is on that album.
Yeah.
In Canada,
but I don't want the rest of it. I don't care about it.
Our version is different from the States. I love that it's a rough, throaty vocals from Joe Strummer, and then you've got the Mick Jones. You got a little bit of kind of poppiness.
There's no Husker Du on this list, and there's no like, what's it called? Pre-Fugazi, Minor Threat. There's not, and but also that's 80s, so I guess that doesn't count because he's talking
about Ground Zero.
Okay.
And I think that's the other thing too. He did say 76, 77, 78.
That's fair.
So he is kind of talking about.
Yeah, I get it.
But
you got the outlier in Police and Thieves, but the heavy stuff like White Ride is more like punky, but What's My Name's probably the heaviest song on it.
Punky.
But yeah, I just think this has a real sort of English, football chant, hooligans, street vibe, kind of creepiness to it. It's very, very English. I remember feeling that when we first got it, that sounded like very, very sort of foreign, right? Number 4, I've got The Saints Eternally Yours, the second Saints album. I love the production.
Sure.
What says you? I don't know anything about it.
Once again, it's like something that's not for me, but I guess I could,
It's
since
not for
we're just taking, because we are taking it from a very ground zero
approach.
I guess you could put that in the top 10 for sure. Personally, it doesn't do anything for me though.
So it's like the Clash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wouldn't have put it so high up on my list. Dead Boys would have been way
Higher.
higher.
You'd flip these.
Yeah, I
Sean,
kind of
this-
flipped the orientation of this so far.
We should call this YouTube video like Buttons versus Martin Popoff.
Oh my
Or some-
god.
you know, on like the top 10, whatever. Best
Yes.
punk, Ground Zero punk albums.
Know your product
And
and
then it's like your face and his face. That'd be hilarious.
Oh my god.
all that, right? This Perfect Day is
I already have
possibly
so
my
many
favorite.
old white men that are punks beefing. So just rile the crowd. We're just rage baiting everybody.
Well, I did a whole episode where I was critiquing the Prog Corner, which is like just another one of these older YouTube dorkies like us,
Uh-huh.
but like boomer.
Uh-huh.
So
Did you
we're-
get flamed in the comments?
No.
All,
But
all
we're-
love?
No, we dropped a clip of me doing a Bob Pollard from Guided by Voices impression, and it like performed horribly. And basically, the internet was like, boring. No one cares. That's the way it goes sometimes.
That is the way it goes.
Favorite punk song of all time. But yeah, they really kind of locked down, got a little less raw, a little more heavy metal, dare I say, on the second album. By the time they get to the third album, Prehistoric Sounds, it's lights out. They have completely changed. They are on their way to becoming this, horns and Celtic sort of band that they
Yeah,
move
not-
into. But this is kind of their
Celtic?
heaviest album, if not the
I
Woof.
so do not.
Woof. Here, I'm not saying that because I'm like I don't like the Irish,
I
right?
also lived in Boston, so I have
So-
another layer
Of like woof.
of Woofington about
Okay,
it.
not only that, but you lived in Boston during this like
Yes.
early 2000s time period.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Bum, da-da-da-da-da-da. Grab your grog and go on a bog. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Leonardo DiCaprio and the other good-looking white guy, they're in a movie directed by the guy that everyone likes.
Yeah.
What's that movie called again? The cop. The. Da-
Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, you're asking for a lot of historical things that I, first off, didn't care about, so I definitely don't know.
I'll get it in 1 sec. The Departed.
There we go.
There we go.
Here's the thing. I was growing up in Portland during this time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're already like a very white area, and it's like rainy and wet. So people are like, "Oh, what if we just really just sucked the dick of the Pogues? We just love the Pogues. Like we love the Pogues here, so much so that we allowed flogging Molly
This
and Dropkick
man-
Murphys into our life."
This man loves the Pogues.
Yeah,
You know Martin Popoff loves the Pogues.
he
Loves the Pogues.
loves Shane McGowan. He's like, yeah, he's great. He's a huge
because
influence.
it's quote unquote pub rock.
Yeah.
Or what's the other term for it? There's pub rock, and then there's. Let me look it up.
If you get me
on my
drunk
tongue.
enough on Jameson, I will sing "Dirty Old Town," but that's because I grew up in Portland.
Pomp rock. That's the other term. Pomp.
Mm,
Right? Did I get it? Rate your music. Did I do it right?
I don't know.
They
Did
call Pogues Celtic rock, Celtic punk, folk rock.
yeah,
They're
Celtic.
not
Celtic
using
music.
any of my genres.
No, but I believe your genre. I believe
Do you
in your
believe
genre.
in my genres?
I met my love by the gasworks wall, trying to dream. But yeah, so I grew up in the era of like it was okay to look like a leprechaun and wear a scally cap.
Scallywag? Are you
And like
scallywag?
pirate punk was a big thing in Portland in the early aughts
I have
and
a
like
question.
2010s. Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Why are they from London, but they make Celtic music?
Shane McGowan's Irish.
Ah,
He's Irish.
cool.
Well, and when you look at UK history, right? Like I understand why Celtic punk exists, right? Because the Irish were an oppressed people, right? They have that anger and they have their fire in them. Irish people have been known for standing with like a lot of civil rights movements, right? Because they may be white, but the concept of whiteness has changed over time, right?
Absolutely.
So when Irish first came to the Americas as the indentured servants, like they came from an oppressive nation. The potato famine wasn't
Created
just
potato people.
like yeah, but the idea that they were like it was like a potato famine and like these dumb fucks all they ate were potatoes. No, it's because they grew plenty of other things and they exported it to England.
Yep.
And they weren't allowed to have anything to eat except for potatoes. So the potato blight wiped out their only food source that they were allowed to have. They had their land stripped from them. They had their language stripped from them. So historically, Irish people they've been oppressed, and so they stand with other oppressed groups. So it is a very logical conclusion that you'd end up with Irish punk music, right?
Actually, to be fair to the Irish, their head shape is less potato-y than their British counterparts.
Yeah, exactly.
Noel Gallagher has a fucking potato.
That
for a
man
head.
is a potato.
Yeah, Liam Gallagher correctly addressed and put out into the universe.
I think there's also another correlation there with like when people talk about like the Irish and alcoholism. I think that's what happens when you have like a native population that you fucking decimate and starve. Look at people on the reservations here. Alcohol is a very big problem. And I think it's like a generational
Canada,
trauma
it's
thing.
the same exact situation in Canada.
Yeah, people are like, oh my God, they're just such the alcoholism and the bad drunks. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's what happens when you decimate a native population, strip them of their language, and then like
colonize
them and then force them into certain conditions. They're fucking depressed, right?
It's
like
horrible.
That's where it stems from, right?
It's not only alcohol, but like fentanyl is a really big problem in those communities in Canada, especially when you're like going really north and it's cold as fuck. Yeah, of course you're gonna want to do fentanyl.
It's fucking cold. You want to numb out.
It's oppressive. Yeah. Anyway.
But that's the logical direction that Celtic punk took.
Got it.
But for me, growing up in Portland in the early aughts, dealing with pirate punks and a bunch of white men I literally dated a man that played a tin whistle.
Did he like flogging Molly?
Oh yeah, the name, I don't know if I should dox. Yeah, whatever, fuck it. The name of the band was Rum Rebellion. They're fucking terrible. Oh, LARPing ass.
There was also a LARPy adjacent to jam band Vermonty thing going on where it's like lutes and 17th century.
Do you think it's the Portland versus Portland? Like the different Portlands have different, they have different vibes. Like they're both granola, but they go like, one's like a Dave Matthews granola and the other one's more like a, I don't know, string cheese granola. I don't know.
Yeah, it's more Townsman vibe. It's in other words, they're hanging out with String Cheese Incident, but they aren't String Cheese Incident.
Okay,
you see
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a weird. Anyways,
exactly. Back to the punk list. Back to the punk list.
Most raw. I think the first one is more raw. It's not even on my list. So yeah, love the Second Saints album. Number 3, I've got the Clash. Give 'Em Enough Rope.
Shut
second
the
Clash
fuck
album.
up.
This is them.
You're
being
not
a little
allowed to
more
put the
heavy
Clash
metal.
on
They
here
got Sandy
twice.
Pearlman
You're not.
producing.
I would agree with you, and I also agree with him that this album is more enjoyable than the first album.
Sure, but you don't
It's
get
a little weirder. It's a little more interesting. But that's me. That's my personal contrarian bias. Knowing that I'm not punk and don't have punk tastes.
valid, and I like that you put those caveats.
I am putting my bias forward because I am a real serious journalist doing serious journalism.
You don't fake it for your audience.
No.
You're not faking it for the audience. You're giving authentic reaction.
I try to keep it reals, Okay.
The songs are a little longer, a little more involved, but I think it's really rocking. I love the fact that in '78, when everybody's kind of abandoning punk already, that the Clash stay pretty heavy, and they make one of the heavier albums for '78, which is really cool. Now, obviously, after this, they do London Calling, and things completely change. But yeah, I love every song in this except maybe a couple that I just like, kind of thing. But I think it's a really heavy album. Our band, we played Tommy Gun live. But yeah, English Civil War,
Tommy Gun.
No.
Okay.
All that, all the young punks. Julie's been working for the drugs. Great stuff. Great production. Beautiful playing. On it as well, and just a good heavy punk album. Number 2, I'm going with the Damned, Machine Gun Etiquette.
Bro put the Clash on here twice and the Damned on here twice, and
But do you like Machine Gun Etiquette? I don't know anything about it.
No, I don't hate it, but I'm also just like, I don't know what you're talking about personally.
Is he going too off the
I'm like, Well, he's just being redundant. If you're supposed to give us like the top 10 ground zero, you're missing something. In my opinion.
So we're up into the third Damned album. Believe it or not, the Damned are already broken up and reformed by this time. We've got the great Algie Ward on here, who was on the Saints album I just talked about, and he's on his way to Tank. But this is a heavy, chaotic, very punky album. I would say in some ways it's got the chaos and anarchy of the debut and maybe picked up some of the better songwriting ideas of the second one, but they're already kind of, spreading their wings. There's a lot of ear candy on here, weird stuff like These Hands. I think it's just an absolutely magnificent album. Just so much energy, just gets me up and rocking all the time. Number one, was there ever any doubt? The Sex Pistols, never mind the bollocks.
Shut
the Sex Pistols.
Okay, I gotta go pee, so you address this. You do a solo Buttons Corner round.
Shut the fuck up. Okay, now we were like we were chill. We were big chillin' until you put that piece of shit at number one. The Sex Pistols is for fucking fashion punks. It was made to sell fucking clothing. They're meant to stay in a fucking shopping mall. I do not like the Sex Pistols. Popoff, big problem I have with you right here is you missed two excellent bands, right? You missed the opportunity to miss two excellent bands that I think are pivotal in the way that punk came out. And I'm going to say X from Los Angeles, right? And X-Ray Specs. Where's the women in punk represented here? X-Ray Specs and X are a huge big part of the punk sound, especially X-Ray Specs, like vocals and stuff like that. Like you missed me on there. I think also another thing, a couple things that could have been mentioned was the vibrators, the undertones. Fuck. There's definitely a lot